Today we'll be talking about SAFe 6 or Scaled Agile Framework, version 6, which was just updated last month to the new version. And in this webinar, we go through the biggest changes that are part of the new version and take a look at how they relate to the old version and discuss multiple aspects of the SAFe 6, what's new, what's updated, and everything useful for you guys listening on the lines. Today, our expert, as you can see already with the webcam open, the expert for this webinar is a longtime Agilist and SAFe trainer, Tuuli Pesonen. And Tuuli is a certified SAFe program consultant, certified LESS practitioner, and certified Scrum professional. So Tuuli has a lot of knowledge on these topics that we're going to be talking, or she's going to be talking about today. But without further ado, the floor is yours, Tuuli.
Thank you. I guess the first change that I can say what has changed is the SPC is no longer SAFe program consultant, but the SAFe practice consultant. I'm still learning the phrase myself also, because the program term is no longer used. But I will get that later a bit more. Welcome everybody, also on my behalf. And we will be digging through the SAFe 6.0 version today a little bit. And first things first, of course, I highly like if you have any questions, you can share them in the questions section. We can go through them in the end, and it will be kind of more suited to your likings if you just have the courage to ask things related to SAFe 6.0. But a couple words about me. I think you already heard my certifications, but as Agilist, I stumbled into SAFe, I think in the version 2.8, 3.0, so quite a long journey from there. And it's still the same, also in the SAFe 6. The basic structures are still there, so nothing dramatic on that point. Anything you have learned so far is still valid and good to be used. And what I like also when the SAFe versions changed, they are updated, improved, modified based on the customers using it, based on the people in the SAFe organization. And together we are building it better and better, always improving the big times in a couple of years. So I really love kind of the improvement wise on the SAFe. So that's why it's really interesting that there's a new version now, and SAFe has become even better than it was before. And even though I said nothing dramatic is changing, and I have a list of things here about small things and emphasizes, we actually talked about with my colleague before this SAFe 6.0 came live, what kind of things there might be when the new SAFe version comes up. And we kind of got some of it, like we really felt that the emphasis on the value streams might become bigger, because SAFe has always kind of started with that organize people around value. And it starts with understanding the value, understanding how the value flows through the business and the customers and the operations. And for that, it needs the whole business, the whole organization to support it. So kind of, we're thinking the trains, it would be clarified to be kind of supporting the business, the whole organization. That would be clarified a bit more. But still, the basic structures, we have the team of themes, the agile release trains, we have the portfolio, we have the PI structure in there. So it's still the same SAFe. And a little bit we kind of think that might get there was kind of simplicity, because sometimes it's kind of, you start using SAFe and it's overwhelming. So we were hoping there might be some simplicity, and for some parts, yes, that is there based on the emphasis, better emphasis on the values and principles. But for some, there are still many roles and teams to collaborate. But as with all frameworks, don't use it blindly. Use it learning and build it the way that it suits you. A couple of things that we probably should have noticed was the real emphasis on the flow, the importance of getting the value flowing properly. So as Agilists, it's kind of always there to emphasize it, but now SAFe really emphasizes a lot more, and that is one of the biggest themes. But first, look on the big picture a little bit, what has changed. So compared to the old version, the 5.1, we kind of pinpointed little things. What changed? What moved? What happened there? So from that perspective, there's quite a lot of going on. But I think the clear version is somehow a little bit even kind of calmer, easier now for the eyes, especially on the essential level. There is more room to breathe. But same basic principles, trains, working toward value, doing there are the roles and the competencies to be used. There is the basis that kind of needs to be there and needs to be lived out in order to get the benefits from the doing SAFe part that's in the middle. So how to do SAFe, but how to be agile with SAFe, you need the bottom part. And I will come back to it with the changes that came here. Perhaps some of you already noticed that there are some tweaks. But before going kind of the changes and the agenda, I like to highlight the kind of primary themes that SAFe has kind of clarified and notified. In the later sections of this webinar, I have mentioned all of them, well, not all of them, but the ones that are relevant to the changed area, so that kind of understanding which piece relates to which primary theme. But of course, the basis, the goal still in this version, that was the main clarified thing in the last version, is the business agility. That's the goal of SAFe, getting business to be agile. Another theme is kind of empowering the teams, clarifying the responsibilities. We don't want the teams to just be pieces in the machine without kind of really having an impact and changing. So there are now good kind of clarifications on the responsibilities that gives the options open to what exactly has to be done. The biggest theme, not perhaps the number one still, but kind of the biggest change, biggest thing visible on the big picture also is the flow. So accelerating the value, accelerating the flow of the value, removing obstacles from it, getting it really working and not just doing fast the wrong things. And then kind of like SAFe and trains to kind of working with and supporting the organizations. There is the business agility, enhancing it with the SAFe all across the business. And new things, of course, especially now with the ChatGPT, I think the artificial intelligence has been on a lot of people's talks lately. But the AI, big data, cloud technologies that have been a lot of used in the web development, especially to get the kind of the speed and quality to be there. And then, as before, in the latest version, there was the measure and grow kind of tools to support and grow with agility, with the core competencies. But now, as a new thing, there is also the OKRs mentioned as part of SAFe. And starting from the base up, because if the base doesn't work, then it's just kind of ceremonies and looks nice kind of things, anything else above it. So previous versions, the core competency that needs to be there was always the agile leadership. But now in this version, there has been the continuous learning culture. So in order to get SAFe working, the leadership needs to understand what they have to do, what is it to be agile, what is to be an example of for it and supporting it. But also they have to create the organizations so they are constantly, continuously learning. The competency has been there, continuous learning already in the latest version, so I won't dig deep into that now, but just to mention, it's now part of the essential, the brick that the whole SAFe stands on. But then what I like about is kind of the lean agile mindset. There used to be this SAFe house of lean, and then of course the agile manifesto, agile values. But now kind of SAFe emphasizes the flow, of course, and the value stream, but to support that, it's kind of the lean thinking. You have to start and understand the value. You have to identify the value stream. You have to make the value streams, make the development, make the value flow in there without interruptions. And then getting it so that we don't just push things in, but really do things to be the value of the customer. And then just, I love the phrase, pursue perfection. So that are now incorporated, part of the base of SAFe. Couple of things that were in the House of Lean previously. There was the flow, which is now emphasized in another places in SAFe, so that is now no longer mentioned here. It's even emphasized as one of the SAFe principles, the number 6. It was renamed and it was kind of reclarified what it is to get the flow working. And then the 4 core values, there is still the alignment and transparency, but kind of the old ones, build quality in and the program execution, they are now switched so that quality in is now part of the SAFe essential. It has been there for some time already, so no need to restate it. And kind of it should be obvious enough that we get the trains and teams working efficiently together so that they produce the value. So that's why the program execution is not longer there either. But from the House of Lean, there is now respect for people and relentless improvement that are now part of the core values. And I kind of like this change because they are now kind of not stuff to do, but kind of things to value as values should be. But getting the base working, I already kind of mentioned as SAFe has emphasized, like organize around value. So you have to understand the value. It's part of the lean agile mindset now with the lean principles. But SAFe really emphasizes now the value streams. They have been there always. They have been kind of part of getting to business agility. But now this kind of emphasis to it has become to the big picture and also to the business, getting to the business agility. So it really needs kind of understanding and working with this business value streams, so that when some opportunity comes, we can really try to make it and leverage it and get the business benefits, get the customer experience for it working right, so that it wouldn't be somebody understands the opportunity and then hopefully 1 year or not at all, someday it would hopefully come. So we really want everybody to work together to get the business going. And on the big picture, it's kind of emphasized the value streams. Now on the left top corner, there was the enterprise and government that kind of give the strategic direction that comes. But now it's kind of emphasized also that they work with, they get the benefits with, they should understand these operational value streams that then the trains are working with, and on portfolio level, the kind of the management of the value streams happens. And then when we understand value, we understand, I have identified kind of the value stream, then it's kind of the flow, the importance of it. And SAFE has now brought additional visibility to the flow and its importance on all levels of work. So it's not enough for teams to work with good flow, but the trains need to be working in good pace, kind of when something emerges, that it can be leveraged in good way, working on the right things and not just doing some things. But also in portfolio level, it's really important kind of getting the work flowing properly. This is kind of why the principle that I mentioned, the number 6, was clarified, that it's really important to get working. It doesn't matter if you have good teams and efficient agile release trains, but if on organization level, in the portfolio, you have hundreds of big things that have high priority, that have deadlines coming, that all should be done simultaneously, then kind of nothing gets done efficiently. So in the principle, kind of the couple raised up things here. So SAFE has now kind of described these 8 properties of flow, what affects it, how efficiently we get feedback, what kind of cues we may have, how much things we have in progress, the big limit, so to say. How big batches do we handle? Do we get small, efficient things through, or are we bottling up or working on huge things? Do we have handovers kind of from somewhere to another slip? We hope the other works it efficiently. Who works in there? What kind of bottlenecks, delays, other things there are? And also to kind of complement that, SAFE is not just previously when there was kind of limiting and visualizing the work in progress and kind of working with the queues and making the batch sizes smaller. Now there is kind of these 8 things to kind of be mindful of when working to get the flow going. So kind of how fast do we get the feedback? How well can we be kind of working in the zone, in the flow, kind of producing the value or being distracted with many other things? How much dependencies we have. So there has always been the, oh my God, now I forget the new term, the X-name program board, now I think art planning board, if I remember correctly. So there has always been, each PR planning we have kind of identified the core, not core dependencies, but most important dependencies on the current PIs. But it's not just to visualize the dependencies, it's also that everybody should work on making the dependencies smaller and smaller so that there wouldn't be so many of them. And that is one of the flow accelerators, to be mindful of that. Yeah. So really getting the value, understanding where it is, understanding what's the whole big picture when we do things, getting the kind of the unnecessary work which provides no value, getting that off and really focusing on the right things on the right time. And for that also, SAFe has kind of clarified the responsibilities a little bit. There are some name changes to some titles. You can check them in the big pictures, but basically that's not so dramatic change on the roles. But I think already in the past, many people have started talking, and other frameworks also kind of, it's not just that your role is this and this is your list you have to do, but kind of emphasizing that there are responsibilities, things you are accountable of, and whether you do it yourself or delegate it to somebody else, that's a different thing, but kind of you are responsible of it. And it has been done, all these kind of responsibility charts are, SAFe has done it for each role, but I kind of, I myself, as I like improving agility, getting to goals. So of course, and SAFe is a team of teams, the art agility release train with teams working in there. So I kind of highlighted both the team, agile team, what are their responsibilities, what are the agile release train's responsibilities. And the nice thing to know this is kind of on responsibility wise, they are the same. There is no train without the teams. So it's really the team's responsibility, and they should be given the possibility to act on it, to kind of improving themselves and the trains and the flow of value, connecting to customers, planning their work, of course, but more important, delivering the value and getting feedback. Of course, team and trains consists of different roles, so there might be a little bit who's responsible on role wise, it's more than the others. And then when we check the roles, and on the role wise, there are similarities, kind of like working towards understanding, creating the visions, roadmaps. For some, it's collaborating. For some, it's kind of really defining them, but it's nobody's work alone. Delivering value, supporting it is kind of important. But getting feedback, improving, leading by example, who kind of should be an example of doing this, but also supporting that we collaborate and do it together. And on the above side, kind of the, how to say, team coach, Scrum Master is now not just Scrum Master, because teams can choose whether they use Scrum or Kanban on another method. So there is kind of the other phrase, perfectly valid, team coach. So team coach line, so this perspective. There are Scrum Master team coaches, there is the release train engineer, the RTE, there are the SPCs. So kind of how do they work together? And as a person who really like, I have been Scrum Master and Agile coach, and of course SPC for some times, then I really like and resonate with the responsibilities that belong to SPCs, even if that would be kind of additional role for the Scrum Masters. So there are so many Scrum Masters, so really working together, collaborating to achieving these are the responsibilities. I would say that is the perfect combination. But then kind of new things. These have been more or less like these clarifications, emphasis, not so much of new things. But the new things would kind of, not big things, but still kind of the DevOps has been a really important part. I think it came somewhere around SAFe version 4.6, the emphasis to it, if I remember correctly, but it has been there for a couple of versions. But kind of really to get benefits from SAFe and when using DevOps, cloud technologies has been really kind of groundbreaking on this, getting speed and quality together. So that's why it's now part of essential in SAFe to really get the value kind of efficiently done with quality together, collaborating, and it's now part of their closely related part to DevOps way of working. But then also data, it has kind of been theme a little bit, not in SAFe, but in general world lately. More and more data we are getting. What I have liked kind of the people working and collaborating and improving and getting value working in this agile way. Everybody kind of emphasizes that it's really important to have the data correctly and the value of the data to kind of know that we are doing the right things and know what the reports and everything, what's going on basically, and really understanding using as a business driver. And then when organizations, people who really work with data, kind of they understand it's just not the data, it's also kind of the people collaborating, working together, really getting the best of it. So data is just numbers, text, phrases, something that you don't do much about unless you build the understanding, unless you really work and do something about it. So on that side, data people and data-driven organizations really kind of emphasize it. It's about people, it's about collaboration. So I highly like now also that it's kind of, it is part of here. It's on the portfolio level as this big data, because it can be used as the driver to the kind of for the organizations to find its place. But it is the combination. We have to have it and understand it, use it as a guideline to go forward, so to say. But as alone, it doesn't work. It needs kind of this people collaborating, agile way of working to kind of combining those to get the real value and combine those to get the benefits to the customers. And of course, artificial intelligence is now kind of the new thing that has been coming for quite some time. Many people say we are now living in the digital age. Some people say that might be that we are now living actually the age of AI soon. So it's kind of the technology that either you use and build for the benefits of the customers, or you use and utilize for the benefits of building better solutions or getting it easier for your business to work. So kind of either you do it for the customers or utilize it yourself. It's kind of still technology that has come and kind of revolutionizes the way we are working. So that's why it's kind of important to understand also in SAFe. But then what I like, improving, retrospective, collaborating. So kind of getting better outcomes, not just doing things you have always done it. And for that, many trains already in past or teams, organizations, they have started to use these OKRs, objectives and key results. And in the SAFe organization, they have also noticed that it really brings benefits. So that's why it's now on the spanning palette on the other side of the SAFe big picture, kind of that you can really use it to kind of create better epics, kind of the business outcomes. You can phrase them as objectives and key results. What's the objectives that you are aiming to get with the epic? What kind of key results do you identify? It kind of has to be there in order for the objective to be met. You can use them to drive kind of your transformation towards agile, to be better with SAFe, to be an agile organization, to have the business agility. You can kind of write your strategic themes, clarify the big direction, the strategy, kind of with OKRs, what it means for us in this portfolio, in this train, in the teams to really strive for. But to really get the benefits, we have to kind of switch our mindset a little bit. And what SAFe is, I took the picture on the top, kind of that we don't just focus on getting outputs, doing something, increasing something, without really kind of thinking about the impact, the outcomes, what's the value. So, but I also have noticed with OKR, sometimes it's like, how do we phrase these key results so that they can be green at the end of the PI, at the end of the year, at the end of the quarter, depending how organizations are using it. When they should actually be something to strive for. It's not a bad thing if it's kind of only yellow, because if you are aiming for the stars, if you get to the top of the mountain and not the stars, you are still on top of the mountain. But if you just try to be on the top floor of your house and you don't make there, you might kind of be halfway on the stairs. So really using them so that it kind of increases the impact outcome, what we are trying to achieve. That's the kind of way to get the benefits from it. So I really like they are there. I'm a little bit worried how organizations and teams and trains will use it to kind of really get the benefits that you can get with this. But I also know that many trains have used them in their PI plannings to get more clarified, achievable them PI objectives. So I'm really enjoying what these OKRs might bring to the trains. And that was quite fast go through because I wanted to kind of have time if you have any questions online about anything. So of course, if you want to learn more, there's the everything described, of course, in the SAFE website. So I highlighted the things that I feel very important to highlight. And of course, Tieturi and Informateur, we both train in Finland and Sweden these SAFE trainings. So from there, you can kind of get really the things that are there.
Thank you, Tuuli, for the presentation today. But like Tuuli said, please ask any questions you might have, but I could ask one question here at least.
Yes.
Now that there are plenty of changes coming in with the version 6, what do you feel is like the top change in your opinion? Like what's going to be the one that affects people using the previous versions the most?
I can only say what I hope is the top change, and I would say
that works as well.
Kind of the importance of the getting the value flowing properly. So kind of not just pushing things and hoping they are the right things, but really kind of getting the cycle from understanding the customer needs, what kind of experience we want to them, to the point that we can value and check the results, getting the flow working properly and evaluating if we are going on the correct phase. So if it's not there, if it's kind of like, it has been there in the past. SAFE has Kanban, and from there it has kind of emphasized that we have to limit the work in progress and we have to kind of get the work efficiently going forward. But sometimes it still feels that in some organizations that had used SAFE, there was kind of the, we are now already working on this thing and kind of doing tens and even perhaps hundreds of things, identifying, working before they even get to the teams. And because new things emerge, new things kind of pop up, priorities might change. Many of them might not ever get there. They might just be there. Somebody used hours of work to kind of do something, analyze something, identify needs when it's not really worked on. So really understanding the whole and getting the flow, getting the work of it, getting the value there, really kind of in good phase, that it's kind of ongoing. We can get feedback faster, we can learn faster, we can understand the direction we need to take easier.
So could you say that it's about like streamlining the ongoing processes and moving forward with those?
Yes, I would say, and not just doing things as we have always done, or kind of doing things as something says we have to do, but really focusing, are we doing the valuable things, and are we doing them in the kind of best way, the most practical way? So that's my hope, that the focus and important on the getting the flow and kind of understanding the value is there. Not perhaps a question from the chat, but that now that we are on the topic, I've heard some people say kind of like, why is it only now in SAFE? Why wasn't it before, like lean principles and flow, like everybody knew them already, like why it's only now in version 6? But I kind of, as I said, for me, it has been there a little bit, but I like it that it's not really emphasized, because you have to have things working properly that are not perhaps about PI plannings or changes. And I just realized for some reason, I don't think it's the best way to say it at the moment, but I didn't have the kind of role names, the program name changes. I promised I would get back to it, but let's kind of highlight it now, that kind of anything that you had here on visible on the program, so to say, like program backlog, and it's not there anymore. The PI is still there, but it's not program increment anymore. It's planning interval, kind of like as, and the most difficult thing for me to learn, the SPC, not safe program consultant, but safe practice consultant. So the last version that kind of combined the program level and the team level to do this essential thing, because there are no trains without teams. There is no team of teams to train kind of alone or just with the teams. There can be individual teams without being trained. So in SAFE, it's essential thing to have them both. So it was removed the program level and the team level, but there was still the core value, program execution, program backlog, program boards, and so on. So those are not there anymore. Most of them are now about art backlog or art planning board and so on.